BYP again, working on the HP8660, now around to the plug-in boards. Let's see, edge card connectors. Up here there are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boards. There's one hiding down under here. Notice the line struck through the covers. That's painted on. What that line means is where to put each cover. It's a quick visual inspection to see if they're in the right way. Notice this assembly is built like a tank. And notice these buttons. There have been inspection plugs like that in the past. I wasn't sure if those were a pop-out for some kind of adjustment. Well, they're not. You see the shim. They're what hold RF gaskets on, so they really want these units sealed up. As previously, the reason for these very heavy walls is mechanical stability, of course, but for shielding. Very, very thin metal can have fields go right through it. That's why partly why these are thick. Down inside there are the sockets. I just did this board, put it back in. Notice how that electrolytic there is very close to the wall. If I can find my flashlight, I can shed a little light on the subject. But it's important before soldering the parts into place to make sure that the board fits, like this A10 here. A10. 2 tantalums there, 233s to make 66, and the one sticking up, it won't clear. So I have to bend it down like the other one. But the procedure I've settled on for doing these is to take the new capacitor and bend hooks in the lead. You can kind of see the hook there on the positive lead. Bend that hook with these special beading pliers from Hobby Lobby, real fine tip. Once it's bent on the straight wire, bend that over and pull the leads apart so it's shaped like that, to keep the leads away from the capacitor body, and then carefully crimp that as tightly as possible around the original component lead with the component still in place. Don't cut the component away, because if it's cut away, the remaining leads are too flimsy to work with. Do all the capacitors. Before soldering them, check the polarity very carefully. Check it against the schematic. I found yesterday that one of the schematic entries was wrong. If it's wrong, correct it. But do them all at once. Put them all on their leads. There I pretty much had no choice but to take that capacitor out. It was that one. It was too big. I couldn't fit the new can in. So there's nothing there, nothing of RF interest, and a big ground plane. So I just cut it out. But then once that's done, and if necessary, having insulated the positive leads so they can't touch the can and short, then solder them all at once. That makes less time that the soldering iron is on and oxidizing. Then, of course, inspect it carefully again. Of course, you check the capacitors with a capacitance meter before putting them in. And good practice to check across the new capacitor with an ohm meter just to make sure there are no shorts anywhere. To make sure the old leads don't reconnect, instead of moving the capacitor body, I started bending. After cutting the positive lead out here, I bend this away just a bit so it can't reach. That way the original capacitor body can be in basically exactly the same place, just in case it makes a difference at RF. Before soldering, take this puppy and set it in and see if it'll clear. See, the gumdrop won't clear. I've got to bend it. The one I'd already bent clears. You can see it's away from the shield. The one I left up intentionally so you can see the difference doesn't clear. So look down in. Of course, everything clears. I had assumed I would need to support the back side of this backplane board. It isn't necessary because this is extremely rigid. All these shield plates have screws both sides, so that backplane is very heavily supported. So the main problem with reinstalling these boards in the control head were that there was no particular alignment. Here the alignment is very well defined by those slots. So set in the slot, put it in so it's standing out, and even them out top and bottom, and just gently push in. They'll drop right in. So there's today's adventure in Hewlett-Packard. Did that